Our top story, shootout at trolley station, dozens dead. Thieves, in the midst of robbing the Saint-Denis trolley station, were surprised by police, and a vicious gun battle ensued across large tracts of the city. Shots rang out for a considerable period, and residents fled the area. Their options limited by the bravery of our police officers, the robbers managed to hijack a trolley and head out onto the streets of Saint-Denis, striking fear into streetgoers and shattering windows and personal property as they exchanged gunfire with the law. The trolley eventually crashed in a grand spectacle, but the culprits shot their way through the garrison of law enforcement and fled on a police wagon. The horror that was unleashed stretched throughout the city, with citizens aghast at the trail of destruction and worrying for the health and safety of their families. A special meeting of town council has been called, and officials will seek a remedy to what is being called a wave of crime in what is normally a relatively peaceful city. The new fashionable gaiety. American high society thrives on the spectacle, and there is no bigger trend in dinner dances, musicals, and garden parties attended by the elites of the era than that of the writings of Evelyn Miller. His musings on nature, simplicity, and the rights of savages are all the topics of conversation over luncheon or mild tea. His ideas seem to penetrate the aristocratic cranium in such a way that readers can speak of little else. In some circles, they seem to prefer that the thoughts of Mr. Miller become social law. Indeed, Mr. Miller spends plenty of time in the social strata where he is a topic of conversation. He is often seen at a garden party and was present at the famed Mayor's Ball in Saint-Denis this year while visiting the region on a sabbatical from his teaching job in New Haven, Connecticut. While it is surely a delightful social life discussing philosophy while watching regattas or in mansions with fashionable people, it is this newspaper's opinion that at the heart of Mr. Miller's writings is a basic disdain for others who, due to social position, have not achieved his level of enlightenment. He, like others of his kind, is a dandy and a fraud masquerading as a man of nature and the arts. We as a people can do better than to worship this false idol. The Indian trouble. Indian discontent has taken many forms, and many say it is poised to boil over once more. The ungrateful Indian can wax poetic about a time when all land was his, and grumble about his limited quarters confined to the reservations all he wants. But the facts are the facts. The United States of America has been particularly generous to the red man, and yet they repeatedly claim mistreatment. However, there is nothing from preventing any citizen of the United States from leaving, and so too should the red man consider leaving for Europe or Canada, or more likely Mexico, which does not impose tax or laws on the times of season in which one can hunt game. Currently, most full-blooded Indians are quite content to accept the very generous allowance given by the U.S. government. Yet there are still some tribes who prefer conflict, as their warring nature cannot leave their system. Take, for instance, in our region, the Wapiti Reservation in the Grizzlies, where tensions with the Army regiment stationed at nearby Fort Wallace are growing, and some fear an all-out return to the bloody days of the Indian Wars. Colonel Henry Favors, officer in command of the local regiment, has sent a dispatch to Washington warning of a possible return to armed hostilities as the Indians have failed to abide by the treaties that we signed in good faith. Indians claim that the Army is withholding supplies and medicine and that sickness is rife, all of which are falsehoods meant to further hostilities. We will stay with the story as events unfold. Guarma Island Sugar Boom. Fusar called a friend of the U.S. Rail baron and industrial titan Leviticus Cornwall stood next to a ship unloading Cuban sugar from the island of Guarma and hailed a new era of cooperation between the two countries. After making 2 trips to the region to tour sugar plantations and signing an exclusive purchase order with the governor of Guarma, imports are on the rise. Cornwall had called local governor Alberto Fusar a great friend of America. However, the boom is undercutting the U.S. sugar industry and resulting in the loss of American jobs. Detractors call Fusar a controversial figure who is flamboyant at times and cruel at others, and has Guarma under a quasi-military rule. His security forces reportedly feared across the island, with plantation workers often working 14-hour shifts to keep up. Gang hideout discovered at Clements Point. Law agents and others on the trail of the Van der Linde gang say that they have discovered the remains of a camp that no doubt served as their base of operations as the gang robbed, terrorized, and killed citizens across the Scarlet Meadows area recently. The rather large area was well organized, and based on the footprint of the operation, it appears more people are involved in the thieving organization than officials pursuing the gang originally thought. The Van der Linde gang is wanted for a string of robberies and murders, most notably the Blackwater boat heist where close to $150,000 was stolen. Ranchers in the area reported missing livestock, and one man, Thaddeus Rivington, reported to the police that his teenage daughter has disappeared and joined the gang, which he says serves as the only explanation as to why she wouldn't want to finish the process of discernment and joining a local convent. Mayor's Gala was grand. The annual High Society Gala, thrown by Saint-Denis Mayor Henry Lemieux at his mansion this year, went late into the night, with champagne flowing, a string quartet serenading guests, and fireworks filling the night sky. The electric roster of high-profile guests included the industrialist Archibald Jameson, war hero Major Hobart Crowley, the banker Gilbert Knightley, and proprietor of the Saint-Denis Times-Tribune, Hector Fellows. Also, somewhat controversially, in attendance was Angelo Bronte, a generous benefactor to the city of Saint-Denis, but also believed to have ties to unsavory business interests. A world of amazement. Saint-Denis entertainment shines. Stroll by the Theatre Rouleur, and it is hard to miss the gay spectacle that transpires inside. Indeed, you can hear it spilling out into the street. Master of Ceremonies Aldridge T. Abington has brought a divine spectacle to Saint-Denis, and the nightly shows feature an epic brute of a woman named Hortensia, the magic and daring escapes of Benjamin Lazarus, a fire breather, a snake charmer, French dancers, musical acts, and more. Watch as unsuspecting members of the audience become part of the show. The lineup changes nightly and ticket prices are reasonable. As Abington is wont to remind you repeatedly, this is sophisticated entertainment at its finest, like they enjoy in London and Paris. Massive explosions. A peaceful night was split in two as explosions rocked Cornwall, kerosene, and tar in the heartlands of New Hanover. In the ensuing chaos, a gang of criminals breached the perimeter and headed toward the office safe. According to the foreman, the robbers were not interested in stealing cash. Instead, they sought important business documents from the safe. They were discovered mid-heist, and a spectacular gun battle ensued. Numerous guards were killed, and others gravely wounded as the unscrupulous bandits fled. Local law enforcement do not have any leads or motives, but report to be forming organized posses and militias to comb the surrounding area. And that wraps up our top headlines. Here's a look at some other stories that didn't quite make the cut. And as always, a word from our sponsors. We have many of them. I would like to thank them all for helping us put this together. They've been very, very helpful. As always, I am signing out. I would like to thank you for watching.